Previously on the war.
Sydney's in the middle of the biggest gang war in living memory.
It is at a real tipping point between the Alen Moradian clan and the Hamsey clan.
It's not fun to be a gangster anymore.
This started as a war between two families over 400 kilograms of cocaine, and the body count kept on rising. And then we had the biggest hit of all.
Coming up on the war, kill or be killed. I didn't think anyone would hit somebody of his stature.
Being tortured, having his teeth pulled out, and he was the wrong bloke.
Mexican cartel-style kidnappings. It is out of control.
5 shootings, 6 victims in a little more than a couple of weeks.
They shot a lawyer. The rules are out the window.
You can't underplay how big it is. I mean, this guy being public enemy number one.
He's not a person that you'd cross at all.
We've uncovered something explosive. There is a new war on Sydney streets.
It's your typical weekday morning and a call comes through from somebody saying there's been a shooting in Bondi Junction. And I think my first thought was, well, that won't be gang related.
This has been reported now by the Daily Telegraph. According to Josh Hanrahan and Mark Morey, a man's been shot dead in his car in Bondi Junction. Police believe it's the latest organised crime network killing to rock Sydney.
The victim was Alen Moradian, one of the most senior members of the Commission, which control the Sydney drug trade. These guys, have got in here and out without being seen. Or did they have access to this place? Moradian was very careful not to let too many people know where he lived. He moved out of the family home because he knew potentially there was conflict and someone was after him. It sent shockwaves through Sydney.
A brazen daylight ambush
in one of the city's busiest areas.
There's an incredibly heavy police presence here in Bondi Junction.
He knew that there were people after him. He'd actually tried to get his parole conditions changed. He was denied to go overseas. He said, look, there's a contract on my life, Proved to be right. Police said that they believe that there were 2 men seen in this car park in the days before doing surveillance. Moradian had a routine where he would go to the gym. He was, a bit of a fitness fanatic. He was in his vehicle, come up and they've shot him. It looked like a fantastically well executed and very brave sort of hit to do it in such a public place. It just quickly unravelled. The Porsche came in, was found in James Street, not far from here. They didn't destroy that car. There was evidence found in there, an old Beretta. So they stuffed it up. Another burnt-out car in another suburb about 15 k's away was also found, a Commodore. We found it easy enough to get in and out, and we're not getting paid a lot of money to kill someone. I mean, this would have been filled with early morning office workers having a cup of coffee before they go to work or just relaxing. Down in the basement, underneath them, somebody's been shot to death. All of a sudden there was a lot more media interest in this, How dare they do it in a ritzy suburb? Shouldn't they just keep it to the outskirts of Sydney? I didn't think anyone would hit somebody of his stature. He was a very, very dangerous character. Alen Moradian was probably one of the most feared guys in Sydney. In the underworld, people didn't like talking about him. They didn't like saying his name.
Alen Moradian was born in Iraq and he moved to Australia in 1980. By all reports, his childhood was pretty normal. But in his teenage years, he fell out with his father, and so he left home and then he left school, and instead he chose a life of crime.
I'm Tim Watson-Munro. I'm a criminal psychologist. I've assessed at least 25 to 30,000 people.
One of those thousands of criminals that you've come across is Alen Moradian. When did you first meet Alen, and tell us how that came about?
It was in 2010. He was referred to me by his defending solicitor.
What was your first impression?
He was an intelligent guy. And he was a bloke who loved the trappings of wealth. I think he was described as having Versace-type taste. He was one of the better people, I thought, to deal with than compared to many that I've dealt with. I think the most relevant thing in terms of his conduct, his attitude, his thinking was that he had a significant addiction to cocaine, and more particularly crack cocaine. When people start smoking crack, they lose touch with the magnitude of what they're doing. They think they're bulletproof. That really was Alen to a T, I think.
2000s, Moradian becomes a major importer. He runs a big syndicate. He gets filthy rich.
There was incredible finishings to a house in Pennant Hills in Sydney's north, which he bought, which led to it becoming known as the Versace house. He put in gold finishings, gold taps, and even a Sistine Chapel mural on the roof.
Moradian is getting bigger and bigger, and then he's coming in contact with the big boys, the Comanchero, and he starts making links with them. He's setting himself up to be one of the big players in Sydney.
While Moradian loved spending big, his wife Natasha was concerned that it would draw police attention.
His wife sends him a scathing email, basically warning him, you know, you're living too flash. If you want to be a bit more like your hero Tony Soprano, just play it low key, let the other guys do the dirty work. If they want to take the credit, so be it. Why do you just sit there and show off? I am the man, I am the man. Do you see Tony Soprano doing that? You, on the other hand, want the attention. You get a big head, you'll love it. People like that won't survive. He obviously didn't listen to his wife.
The thing that really put him on the map, he ran an importation of hundreds of kilograms of cocaine into Sydney. In 2007, Moradian's syndicate that he controlled came crashing down when police arrested key members of the syndicate, including Moradian, his wife Natasha, and one of his closest friends. That man we cannot name due to a court order, and instead we must call him AA.
Silverwater Jail, where Alen Moradian did a fair bit of his stint. Now inside, crims meet crims. There's photos of Moradian with Aben Nader. Faris Aben Nader was one of the first people killed in what became Sydney's underworld war of the last 2-3 years. But he also ran into a guy called Brownie Ahmed. Now Brownie Ahmed was a fearsome character inside there, and he stood over Moradian. He didn't have the connections to fight back, and it's believed that he took hundreds of thousands at least off Moradian while he was doing his time in jail. So by early 2022, when Brownie gets out of jail, Moradian's been out for a little while, and he's actually become one of the most powerful guys in Sydney. He's part of the commission. He's not a guy to be messed with. Now, Brownie ends up dead.
These pictures are from the Greenacre home Mahmoud Brownie Ahmed had only just left last April and died where he fell.
Alen Moradian certainly had a motive to have Brownie killed. He'd stolen from him, he'd humiliated him. In that world, that means death.
When Moradian got out of jail, he picked up right where he left off. In 2021, Moradian teamed up with other key members of the Comanchero to create the Commission. Now, the whole point of the Commission was to ensure that drug prices stayed high. Therefore, they would make the most money off whatever imports they were bringing in.
In 2022, Moradian's warned by New South Wales cops that there's a contract on his life. He starts taking precautions, he starts moving around. He eventually settles in a pretty nice apartment right in the heart of Bondi Junction in Sydney's eastern suburbs. So when Moradian was hit, first thought, it was a Mexican cartel or someone big from overseas. When the cops made the arrest, I just couldn't believe it, just shell-shocked. About 6:10, my phone goes, someone telling me they've just arrested one of the biggest players in Sydney and a good mate of Moradian for his murder. Later on, we have to call him AA because within hours, there's suppressions.
Did they go back a long way? And they were genuinely mates?
The best mates.
Yeah.
Like, that's what people were texting this morning saying.
It's like the mafia. Like, you know how they always go to the funeral and they've actually paid to have him knocked off?
Very Godfather.
In regards to the murder of Alen Moradian at Bondi Junction, we now have the mastermind and the constructive persons involved in facilitating that murder.
So the detail you've just found out about what the cops are going to allege involved in the whole shooting of Moradian, I just found mind-blowing.
There was this drug dispute, right, that was at the centre of why Alen Moradian was allegedly killed. And then there was the arrest of AA, this bloke who's his closest associate. Police are going to allege in court that Moradian took the first hit out on AA. And then essentially what's happened is AA's gone, well, if he's going to knock me, I'm going to have to get in first. And he describes it as treacherous news. They allegedly put a tracker on the car of Natasha Moradian, hoping that she would lead them back to her husband. And that is how they would find him. And that is what they've got in their court case.
Is this a lot of this called on like listening devices?
Yeah. And apparently, some bloke who AA is talking to says to him, when they're waiting for news of the hit, they say, I've refreshed the Daily Telegraph a couple of times, let me tell you. So they're coming to our website to find out if he'd been killed. And then when they do, when we put the story up and they find out he's dead, apparently they're heard celebrating and playing music and all this kind of thing.
That's what you expect these guys, they just turn on each other. Coming up on the war, kill or be killed. When Moradian died, we wondered whether Araya was the third party that started the fight between Moradian and AA. Kidnappings, which have always been kept low-key, until in Sydney they start chopping people's fingers and toes off.
The level of violence is unprecedented.
There was 5 shootings involving 6 victims in a little more than a couple of weeks.
People were starting to wonder if the cops had lost control of the streets.